So my last video on starting the installation for my box truck was kind of all set up for the event of doing my installation. So basically I made a night drive and evening drive out to a couple of Home Depots because just one Home Depot did not have what I needed, and I gathered my installation supplies before I headed out to Gina's to unpack the truck and start the installation process. Now, I decided to insulate my truck with foam board, basically the foam board that was available at Home Depot. So there's basically three types of insulation in my van. The first thing is the polystyrene. Most of my foam boards are polystyrene because honestly that's what was at Home Depot, so that's what I bought. And I have straight walls, so it was going to be really easy to install. The second thing that I also have in the van is actually some spray foam. Now, a lot of people will get their whole vehicle spray foam. There was a lot of reasons why this just wasn't an option for me. The first one being cost, the second one being you have to be able to give up your vehicle in a completely nude state. Wait a minute, hopefully that won't get me canceled on YouTube. It has to be completely empty down to the metal. You have to have the ability to sort of strip it out and give up your vehicle for a few days. So spray foam just wasn't an option for the whole vehicle. But there is stuff you can buy in cans that is really good for filling in gaps and cracks and stuff where like little pieces of foam don't fit and you don't really want to have to shove anything else in there. And then the final thing I used is something unusual. Even though I got this tip from other people, it's not something I hear talked about in a lot of the van build blogs. And it's this stuff from Frost King that comes in a self-adhesive roll. And it is a duct insulation, and you basically would apply it with a roller the same way that you do a lot of the sound deadening stuff. And in fact, some people use it as a cheap sound deadener. And I basically was going to roll it not only on my roll-up door because it was flexible and then wallpaper over it. That was always the plan. I was also going to use it in any areas that weren't straight or awkward or where foam board just didn't work. But for the most part, it's EPS or polystyrene foam board. So let's move on to the actual install. After unpacking the truck, the first thing I needed to do was just clean up and wipe everything down. After checking on a very complaining Mickey, it was time to start the big job of actually installing. Alright, get the blades out. Jump outside this line. Glad I didn't get 4. Honestly, working with the foam board wasn't hard so much as tedious and kind of involved. I basically had measured the spacing between the ribs in the box truck, and then I just needed to cut that out of the foam board with a razor blade. Once you kind of scored it with the razor blade, it was pretty easy to break apart. I did end up doubling up a lot of the foam board on the sidewalls just because I couldn't find the thickness that I actually wanted. But like I said, it wasn't hard, it was just tedious. I focused on all the straight sections first, basically the sections that were unaffected by either a window or any other weirdness. Since all of them were about the same size, the only difference was when I got around the areas where there was the wheel track for the roll-up door, and also the very corner where the box truck is curved in the front. By the time I got all the walls done, it was definitely time to call it a day and clean up. So I tried to give Mickey a break and let him roam around on his lead a little bit, and he decided to get so high up in the tree that he was crying and asking for help. He was very much in distress. This was not cat fun time. So I had to get a ladder and get him down. Was it scary? But now you're looking up again. No, you're not going up there. You are not going back up there, baby. You're not going back up there. All that meowing. So you thought you wanted to be up there, and then you were like, no, this is too much. This is too much. It's too much to be up that tall. You already had your adventure for today. I know. It sucks. You got a giant playpen and you're still complaining. Okay. It's gonna be okay. Don't jump in your water again. Oh, did you find the hole that you were laying outside of yesterday? Is there like a little ball in there?
I think there's a toy in there.
I think he found it because he did that little thing where he's like...
He's pawing at it.
Yeah. He's like, well, what's that?
He ate something. Was there a bug in there? It's like, oh my gosh. Oh well, it's protein.
So I'm back at Gina's and I just rescued Mickey from a tree. All of the wall installation got done yesterday. Now I'm about to do the ceiling, and I just realized to do the ceiling, I unfortunately have to have the back door closed. So I've closed the back door. I've shoved 2 of the 2-inch foam boards on the ground. I have 1.5 inches on the side walls, and it's a mix of insulation because I went to 3 Home Depots and it was depleted everywhere I went, so I ended up having to what was I thinking? I ended up having to get 1 inch and 1/2 inch, but I'm actually glad I did because it allowed me to sort of stagger my insulation a bit, which will hopefully, if there are, problems, that'll even cover me more. And having 1.5 inches of insulation on the sides is not a bad thing, and then 2 inches on the ceiling. I have hardly anything. I have a very thin underlayment on the floor, and I'm not too worried about it. I think that'll be good enough, but I do want to get the ceiling done, and I actually do still want to paint the floor with the mold and mildew paint while I can afford for the box to be empty and to let it dry with the door open. So as soon as I get the ceiling done, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll have enough time to paint the floor, let it dry, and load back up before I have to pull out of here tonight and get back to Oakland. So this day was a bunch of rinse and repeat, more measuring, more scoring with my blade, just general exactly what I did before, except this time I would be putting insulation over my head. There's a part of me that wish I went 1.5 instead of 2 inches in the ceiling. I also relied on the fact that there was a lip on the left and the right of the ribs on the ceiling to hold the insulation, and I kind of regret doing that and not just buying either spray adhesive or construction adhesive. All right, so there we go. I have not insulated the door. I figure I could do that another day. I can do that with stuff in here. So I'm not too worried about that. That can be a project for another day. But everything else is insulated. These walls, the ceiling. I do need some more seam tape. Got foam all over the place. I got foam here, foam there. I do need some more seam tape. There's some seams I still want to tape, but it should be so secure enough for a drive back to Oakland. I also insulated up there, both with the Frost King right against the curb. And then I think I was going to put wood here, but I think I'm just going to decorate these things so they don't look like silver insulation. I made these so they can pop out so I can run wires back and I can still get to the wires. So I didn't want to enclose this space in a way where I couldn't access the wires. The wires for the lights at the front of the truck are there, so I didn't really want to get rid of those. I was going to put my electrics area here, but I'm having a lot of trouble with this wire and this roll-up door. So what I did instead, tape is falling, but I track the wire across here and then have it right here. I'm going to be really gentle opening the door, but basically I'm going to have my electrics area over here instead of over there like I was going to do before, just because I think this will be a safer run for wire than what I had before, because I keep having issues with things getting caught. And there's basically a little flap up there, and it'll just collide with the wires in not good ways. So I'm trying to reduce that obstacle. This wire right here for this fan will run flat across here. Right now it's loose. I'm going to fix that tonight. Run across there and then track over here to the front. Bringing my whole electric area to this corner, and I think that'll just be better and safer, and it'll be very easy to adjust around. The only thing that sucks is I kind of made space for wires to drop there, but it's just not safe if I'm going to keep the roll-up door, and I have no immediate plans or money to execute removing it and doing something else, so we're just going to leave it and work around it and make it safe. All right, I need to finish cleaning up. After cleaning up, I grabbed my Kills Mold and Mildew so that I could paint the floor. Better safe than sorry. With the floor all done and painted, there was nothing left to do but give it some time to dry and then get back on the road with a major step accomplished. So there are moments in building out your vehicle that, you know, you feel like nothing's getting done. Like you're just sitting in the same space and you're doing stuff like every day, all the time, running around, doing fixes, running errands, shopping, running to Home Depot 30 times. But you look at the space and you don't really see it because it's all these minor little things like fixes. Like I need to buy some more seam tape and clean up some of these seams. And yeah, there's a couple of little things I still need to do insulation wise, but the big job is done. So I'm sure I'll fall into that feeling again. But then you do big things like the roof vents, like the insulation, and you're like, whoa, this vehicle actually is changing. Like I am turning it into something new. And that's what build outs are about. Taking something that didn't look like it could be what it was and turning it into that. And so when I finished installing my roof vents, that was in my subfloor even, and doing the tile wall on the back of the box truck, this wall right here, like those moments felt like I did something, that I accomplished something, that I was really bringing on that change. And so it feels really good when you accomplish things like that. And when I like got done my roof vents and I saw like the solar sitting there and the 2 roof vents and all of that, and knowing that I had done it, that just, it felt good. All right, YouTube, it is time to get to the usual YouTube business. But before I talk about that, I will say I did film an updated sign off for this video, and then I realized I'd already filmed the perfect one, the bit that you just watched. So I ended up using that instead. As you know, I am far beyond insulation at this point, and I'm really happy to actually see myself in the past talking about that. And I remember sitting there then and not believing I would get to the point that I am now. Like, it just seems so far away and so hard to do. But anyway, YouTube business. There's this thing that YouTube has called the algorithm. And the algorithm sits in judgment about how many people are actually watching your videos. And the way that you can tell, algorithm, that you're interested in my videos continuing to exist is to give me those likes, give me those subscribes, give me those comments in the comments section. It all appeases the YouTube god algorithm. So if you want to help me out there, go on ahead. And if you're like, it's totally cool. Thank you for checking out this video and making it this far into it, because watching videos until the end is actually important as well. Thank you as always to my supporters on YouTube memberships and Patreon. See you in the next one.